Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into the really explosive life of Paul Watson. He's been called a lot of things: a Greenpeace founder, a conservationist, but maybe most famously, an eco-pirate. Our mission really is to trace his journey. How does someone go from being, a non-violent activist to someone leading these really radical, direct actions, even sinking ships? And I think we have to start right at the deep end, so to speak. The 1979 encounter with that whaling ship, the Sierra, it just seems to define so much.
Oh, absolutely. The Sierra wasn't just any ship. It had this notorious reputation. Our sources say it hunted something like 25,000 whales in its time. It was basically an outcast,
Yeah.
banned from loads of ports internationally. It really stood for, the worst of commercial whaling at the time.
And the methods, you were telling me about
Oh,
the methods they used.
yeah, it's pretty horrific, actually. They had this huge harpoon gun, like 2,500 kilos, and it exploded inside the whale. But the really chilling part, they knew whales were empathetic. They'd hit one, and the others would rush in, trying to help their injured family
But
member.
they weaponized compassion.
Exactly. It let them wipe out whole pods incredibly fast. Just brutal efficiency.
So, July 1979, the Sierra's off the coast of Portugal doing its thing, and then Watson's ship, the Sea Shepherd, just rams it.
At full speed. And according to the accounts, he didn't just hit it once. He rammed it, circled back, and rammed it again.
Making sure it was done for.
Pretty much. It caused permanent critical damage. The Portuguese Navy did arrest him afterwards.
But he got released.
Yeah, it's a weird one because the Sierra was this banned sort of stateless vessel. No government really wanted to claim responsibility or press serious charges, so they let him go.
But that wasn't the end for the Sierra, was it? There's a final chapter.
Right. A few months later, this is 1980 now, the Sierra's docked in Lisbon Harbor, supposedly for repairs.
Yeah.
Watson's colleagues, they decided to finish the job properly. They apparently planted mines on the hull.
And sank it right there in the harbor.
Sank it completely. So that whole sequence, the ramming, the arrest, the final sinking, really sets the stage for just how far Watson was willing to go.
That kind of intensity, though, it doesn't just appear overnight. We need to rewind a bit, understand what lit those initial sparks. He had a tough childhood in Canada, born in 1950. Sources mention an abusive father, losing his mother early, but always this connection to nature. There's this story about his best friend being a wild beaver he called Bucky.
Right, I read about that.
And Bucky died in a trap. So young Watson apparently spent his time going out and just destroying traps he found in the woods, taking direct action, even then.
Wow. Yeah, you can see the seeds there. And then that compassion kind of collided with trauma, didn't it, when he was, 11?
Yeah, his uncle took him seal hunting. And witnessing that, the brutality of it, the sources say it just deeply affected him.
You can imagine. And that seems to have pushed him towards finding others who felt the same way. By 16, he's in Vancouver.
Right, connecting with activists there. This is around the time America was planning those nuclear tests on Amchitka Island.
For a really vital wildlife sanctuary in Alaska.
And this plan wasn't small scale. The bomb was like 200 times bigger than the one used on Nagasaki.
Yeah, enormous.
Mm-hmm.
So this group forms the Don't Make a Wave Committee, which, becomes Greenpeace.
And Watson's right in there, as a crew member on one of their boats, the Greenpeace.
Their plan was incredibly bold, maybe reckless, sail directly into the test zone to try and force the U.S. to cancel it.
Did they make it?
They didn't stop that specific test, unfortunately. It went ahead. And the environmental cost was huge. Estimates are over 10,000 fish killed, maybe 1,000 sea otters, too.
So the immediate mission failed.
The mission failed, yes. But the publicity it generated, that was massive. It echoed globally. The public pressure became so intense that the U.S. actually canceled all future tests planned for Amchitka. So in a way, they lost the battle but kind of won the war for that specific place.
Okay, so they learned the power of grabbing public attention. But the focus shifted, or perhaps intensified, towards the life in the oceans, specifically whales.
Yes, and a big part of that seems to be this growing understanding, or maybe just acknowledgement, of how intelligent these creatures actually are.
Here's where it gets really interesting. There was this Canadian biologist, Paul Sponge, back in 1973. He was studying the first orca ever held in captivity. And he noticed the orca wasn't just learning, it was so smart, it started deliberately giving wrong answers. Like it was running its own experiments on the scientist.
That's incredible. And it really is just the start. The more we learn, the more complex whale intelligence appears.
Like the brain size.
Well, yeah, if sperm whales have the biggest brain on Earth, like 5 times ours.
Yeah.
But it's not just size, it's the structure. They have this extra part, the Paralympic lobe.
Something humans don't have.
Exactly. And the theory is this lobe is involved in really complex social understanding, emotional processing. We're talking deep empathy, sadness, grief, potentially on a level we don't fully grasp.
So it's not just intelligence, like problem solving. It's potentially a whole different kind of consciousness, maybe even culture.
I think that's fair to say. The evidence points that way. Orcas calling each other by specific names, like unique identifiers. Sperm whales having local dialects.
Right, like languages.
Kind of, yeah. Dolphins using tool sponges to protect their noses when foraging. And perhaps most significantly, altruism. Helping other creatures, even humans sometimes, at risk to themselves.
That really challenges our ideas about who feels compassion.
Completely. And knowing this or sensing this must have fueled that 1975 Greenpeace Save the Whale campaign against the Soviet whaling fleet.
Where they use those little Zodiac boats.
Yeah, the nonviolent approach. Just activists in small boats holding signs saying stop whaling, trying to physically get between the harpoons and the whales.
But the Soviets weren't using hand-thrown harpoons. These were the explosive ones you mentioned.
Exactly. Huge cannons firing harpoons designed to detonate inside the whale. Incredibly violent.
And it was during that campaign, 1975, that Watson had this pivotal experience. He was right next to a dying sperm whale.
Yes. A massive whale just hit by one of those harpoons. It was sinking.
And he describes looking into its eye, said it was the size of his fist.
Mm-hmm. And he felt or believed he saw understanding in that eye.
Understanding of what?
He believed the whale knew who was trying to kill it and who was trying to save it. In its final moments, this enormous creature could have easily destroyed their tiny Zodiac boat.
But it didn't.
It didn't. It chose not to harm them. For Watson, that moment, that eye contact, it seemed to lock in its entire purpose.
Wow.
After that, he really dug into why. Why were they killing sperm whales on this scale? He tracked down the end product, spermaceti oil.
And where was it going?
This is the truly insane part.
Yeah.
It was a crucial component in manufacturing intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Wait, whale oil? For nuclear missiles?
Yeah. The lubricant, the fine oil needed for the guidance systems came from these incredibly intelligent creatures.
That connection killing intelligent, empathetic beings to make weapons for mass human extinction.
That seems to have been the breaking point for him philosophically. He's quoted saying something like, "Here we are destroying this intelligent, gentle, socially complex creature for the purpose of making a weapon meant for the mass extermination of human beings." And that's when it struck me that we're insane.
You can see how that would make his mission feel absolute. No compromise possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which leads directly to the next year, 1976, and the Newfoundland seal hunt campaign.
Which the sources call one of the biggest slaughters of mammals on Earth then, targeting seal cubs, often right in front of their mothers.
Just horrific scenes. And Watson, along with Robert Hunter and other activists, they went right onto the ice floe.
To physically block the sealers.
Yeah. And the sealers, understandably from their perspective, pushed back hard. They argued, this is our tradition, our livelihood. It was culture versus this new environmental ethic.
And it got violent.
Very. Reports say Watson was attacked, beaten up. They even rubbed his face in seal blood on a ship's deck.
That's brutal.
And it was in that chaos, that fight, that Watson did something Greenpeace couldn't accept. He grabbed a sealer's weapon, a club, I think, and threw it into the ocean.
Ah. So that crossed a line for Greenpeace.
Definitely. Their core principle was nonviolent witness. Recording, documenting, using legal means, destroying property, even a weapon used for killing seals. That was direct interference. That wasn't the Greenpeace way.
So the organization he helped start basically kicked him out.
Pretty much, yeah. By June 1977, he was officially removed from the Greenpeace board.
And he immediately starts his own thing.
Right away. First called Earth Force, but quickly renamed Sea Shepherd. Which brings us back to the ship that rammed the Sierra.
So a fundamental split in philosophy. Greenpeace, witness and pressure. Sea Shepherd, intervene and stop, physically.
You got it. And Watson even adopted the pirate flag, the Jolly Roger, as the Sea Shepherd logo, making the intent pretty clear.
They definitely lived up to that image. Some of their actions were incredibly high risk. Like in '81, sneaking into Soviet Siberia.
Yeah, dodging the KGB, the Soviet Navy, just to film a facility that was secretly processing illegally caught whale meat to use in animal feed.
Unbelievable risk just for documentation. But he also knew how to play the media game, didn't he? The Brigitte Bardot campaign.
Oh yeah, 1984, partnering with the huge French star, Bardot, lots of Very effective photos of her with cute baby seals.
Went viral before viral was really a thing.
Exactly. Massive international pressure. That campaign directly led to a 10-year ban on the whitecoat seal pup hunt.
So this relentless pressure from Sea Shepherd, from Greenpeace, from others, it did eventually work on the whaling front, didn't it?
It did. By 1986, the International Whaling Commission, which, remember, was originally set up by whaling nations in 1946, they finally agreed to ban commercial whaling globally.
That sounds like a total victory, but there was a catch.
A big one. Countries like Japan and later Iceland exploited a loophole for scientific research.
Ah, the scientific whaling.
Right, which allowed them to keep killing hundreds, sometimes over 1,000, whales every year. Everyone knew the science was just a cover for getting meat to market.
So the ban wasn't really a full ban in practice.
Not at all. The numbers show it. Between '86, when the ban started, and just a couple of years ago, something like 40,000 whales were still killed under these so-called exceptions.
40,000, despite a global ban. How did Watson react to that?
Well, this is probably his most infamous act of sabotage. In 1983, even before the main ban, targeting Iceland's whaling directly.
What did he do?
He didn't just target their ships. He and his team went ashore. They broke into Iceland's only whale processing plant.
On land.
On land, armed with hammers and, reportedly, cyanic acid to contaminate machinery. They spent 8 hours just systematically wrecking the place. Took out their entire processing capacity.
And audacious doesn't quite cover it.
No. It's full-on eco-sabotage.
Okay, so we've seen the extremes he went to. But bringing this forward, why does protecting whales matter so much now, beyond the ethical arguments? There's a climate connection, right?
A huge one. It's something scientists call the whale pump.
The whale pump.
Yeah. Basically, whale poo. It sounds funny, but their excrement is incredibly rich in nutrients, especially iron and nitrogen. When they poop near the surface, those nutrients fertilize the ocean.
Fertilizing what?
Phytoplankton. Tiny marine plants.
Oh.
And these phytoplankton are unbelievably important. They perform about 40% of all the photosynthesis on Earth, sucking up massive amounts of CO2.
40% from tiny plants.
Yep. And they produce about half the oxygen we breathe. More whales mean more whale poop, which means more nutrients, which means more phytoplankton.
So more whales literally means a healthier climate. They're actively fighting climate change for us.
Precisely. They're critical climate allies. Restoring whale populations isn't just about saving a species. It's about investing in a massive natural carbon capture system.
Okay, so looking back at Watson's whole career, he undeniably raised global awareness. He helped force policy changes like the whaling ban.
Absolutely. His impact is undeniable.
Yeah.
But the methods? Ramming ships, sinking them, destroying factories. That's why he gets the eco-pirate or even eco-terrorist label.
You're forced to confrontation.
He really did. Between traditional industries and cultural practices on one side and this urgent ecological necessity now linked directly to climate survival on the other.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a really tough question, I think. If the normal ways, the nonviolent protests, the legal challenges, if they consistently fail to protect these incredibly intelligent, vital creatures essential for our own planet's health, does that line between necessary direct action and unacceptable violence, does it shift? Where do you draw that line when you're facing the reality of extinction on a global scale? Something to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.